really craving those questions being answered of, well, how do I want to show up in sales? Why do I want to be in this profession? And how do I really tap into the truth of why I sell? So thank you for reminding me of why I do this journey, and thank you for joining this journey. So let's get into it. Module 3. So module 3 is all around your industry. Module is all around knowing your prospect. If you don't know your prospect, if you start with the business, you often will run the risk, I suppose, of leaving someone feeling a little bit neglected. If I just ring up someone and say, hey, John, Sally, I want to talk about your business. Although a lot of people embody their business, 9 times out of 10, they go, well, yeah, but there's a heart behind the phone, behind the screen. Like, can we not talk about me for once, right? Especially if you're going into a more technical or more service-based role where they are just kind of break fix, or they are more, let's say, called upon when they're needed, opposed to just being someone that is checked in on. When you give those people that particular space of actually creating the environment for them to listen, that's really, really crucial in those moments. So module 1 is all around finding out the individual itself. Then you look at the business. What is the business doing? And we've talked about those particular pieces there. What is the business doing? Why is it going on particular journeys that it is? The third module is focusing purely around the industry that they're in. Again, as always, they're broken into 3 main areas. So the 3 main areas that we look at are the industry. What's the changes that industry has currently gone through or is going through? So let's just take COVID. Let's just take that 2020, the change that globally we all saw there. The way that everything went from in-person meetings to kind of virtual meetings, how shops like fine suit shops, fine clothing, shirts shops had to kind of shift their models in terms of people weren't wearing smart clothing, they were wearing different clothing. We went from in-person meetings, coffee shops, to virtual meetings. Things like Zoom changed the way that we held meetings. Being aware of these changes makes you shift away from a basic salesperson or an average salesperson that was almost an order taker to someone relevant. Now, a lot of people talk about challenger sale and being a trusted advisor. I personally don't go near those kind of words, on the simple reason that I am of the opinion that you can never be a trusted advisor truly to a customer, for the simple reason you're always going to have a bias towards either your product, your solution, or your recommendation, right? And that's good to have that. And in fact, on another video, I actually talk about the power of the tuning fork, which is how there's always 2 conversations in sales. How do I help you? Who do I know that can do it better? But that's going off tangent. But we always look at the changes that industry has gone through. The second thing we need to look at is the trends. Now, trends are different to changes, because changes are, like I've mentioned, COVID or the 2020 pandemic. You've then got the trends are, what is the recurring thing that you're seeing in that industry that someone either might not be aware about or might not have prioritized. Now, let me give you an exact example. Cybersecurity at the moment, or being cyber compliant, cyber essentials, cyber 365, these are thought to be nice to haves at the moment, but there's no longer a case of if I'm going to get a cyber attack or a ransom attack. It's now when. So being complacent and being kind of like just happy with the status quo around your cybersecurity, I would readdress that right now, because the trend is that a lot of people, we see Network Rail in the UK, we saw casinos in Las Vegas get attacked, we saw Microsoft with airports go down a few months ago, or if this is a few years later, we saw Microsoft back in 24 get attacked with certain airports go down. These things are no longer if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. And what I'd encourage you to think about is be aware of the trends that are going on in your industry. What are the recurring themes that you see affecting a lot of businesses? But also, how do your customers prioritize understanding that? And how can you factor that into your sales pitch? How can you factor that into the conversations? The third piece to really think about with your industry is, what are the competition doing that either your competitors or your customers aren't, or that you see could become a trend? So let me give you an example. If a lot of people are moving towards AI bots on their website, if a lot of people are using chat bots that are all automation or all AI on their websites, but you're seeing a trend of dissatisfaction with AI bots being used because customer satisfaction is starting to drop off, that could be a really good time to actually speak to your customers and say, hey, just want to let you know, I'm seeing a trend at the moment of that people are switching, or if people are switching to AI bots on their website, it's actually having a negative or an adverse effect with their customers. I'm actually ringing a few of my top customers, you're on that list, of actually maybe considering actually options of actually staying away from that. Although we have a few solutions around that, I'd actually like to encourage you that you don't need to do anything. I'm just encouraging you at this moment. Maybe don't go around that route. Wait until certain governing bodies have put guidelines around it. Wait until it's regulated. Wait until certain parameters are put in place before you go around this. So just to summarize, module 3, the first 2 modules are helping you become complacent. It's helping you get that confidence, that readiness to be able to pick up the phone. I understand you as a business, I can build a relationship. Relationships are really, really good, because without the relationship, without the I like you, I trust you, you're never going to close this out, because you need to build champions. And that's a whole nother conversation. The second piece is you need to understand the business, because you need to understand what that business does and why you would suggest certain outcomes that you would. The third piece is what I call makes you relevant. To become relevant, you need to be able to, I understand you, I understand your business, and now let me tell you what you may not be aware of, and let me become the person that brings you the good and bad news. In the same way, if you look at Medic and you look at champion building, excuse me, a true champion in a business is someone that brings you good and bad news and it becomes an internal advocate for you. What you need to think about is how do you strategically align to the right customers for you, and that you can actually be that person that they trust. Hey, I'm going to be the one that brings you the good and bad news. Help me help you by telling me what news, what do you need me to bring you? Because you're busy doing what you're doing. I have the time, the capacity to do this stuff. Tell me what you need me to bring you. Tell me what you would like to know with your industry that I can support you on that journey. Because remember, average salespeople, okay salespeople are really good at selling product, right? Maybe even once, maybe even twice. Great salespeople understand that recurring revenue, road mapping, pipeline forecasting, being a part of a project 3-4 sales down the line is really good. What I would call phenomenal salespeople are the ones that say, at some point you're probably going to buy something. You might come to me, you might come to somebody that I know. What I want to make sure is that we have a relationship where I'm the first, if not the second person you think of when you think about solving a problem. I want to strategically align to you and your goals, and I want to be the person that you think of when you think about solving a particular problem. What we need to understand is the expectations you have of that relationship and how I can align to those expectations. So, very short course, 3 modules, real quick. I put a few other bonus bits of content in this module as well. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. To summarize all 3, first module is all around the prospect and separating them from their business. The second module is all around their business and understanding that you understand previous engagements, values and products at the top, and then also blogs and articles down the bottom, understanding what those 3 areas are doing. And then to become relevant though, you need to understand the industry that person, that business resides within, what's going on in that industry, the changes, the trends, and the competition. I'm your host, Alex Smith. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey, the phenomenal guide to your sales. Hopefully this has been a little bit helpful. Hopefully this has given you a bit of a clearer navigation of how do I prep, how do I gain a bit of confidence around the call that I'm about to make or the meeting I'm about to have. I will also mention down below is going to be some bonus content around the confidence piece that I've talked about, a few tips and tricks that I've got. I'm also going to share with you I think it's 7 or 8 golden rules for prospecting and how do you prepare for those calls, what some of the golden rules. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you joining us on this journey so far, and I hope that you've seen some value from these videos. Thank you so much. Take care.